Hi, everyone. I'm Marcy Shimoff, and I am thrilled to welcome you today to our online seminar, The 3 Secrets to Living a Life Filled with Miracles. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I am the author of all the books in the New York Times bestselling Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul series, as well as the New York Times bestsellers Happy for No Reason and Love for No Reason. And I was also honored to be a featured teacher in the hit movie and book sensation The Secret. And I've hosted my own PBS TV show called Happy for No Reason, and most recently narrated the movie Happy. And for the last few decades, I've gotten the great privilege of traveling the world, presenting speeches and workshops and seminars to people from all over, from the U.S. and Canada to Russia to Turkey to China to Chile. I've traveled from all over, many countries, and I just want to share with you the truth of what I have seen. And that is that people are really struggling right now. You know, I know that many of you have been working hard, but somehow you just can't seem to create the abundance that you see in the lives of the people around you, and it's frustrating because you seem to be doing the same things that they're doing, but you still can't get ahead, or you can hardly pay your bills. And I know that many of you have been searching to find your life's true calling, but it may still be a mystery. And in the meantime, you're stuck in a job that you can barely tolerate. Or maybe you actually know what makes your heart sing, but there's absolutely no way that you can take that leap to see if the net appears, because the reality is that you have a family to think about. I also know that you may be longing for deep and fulfilling relationships with your partner, with your family and friends, or even with the one who hasn't shown up yet. But you still have conflict or frustration or emptiness in your relationships and in your heart. You may be experiencing health challenges these days, fatigue or low energy, even though you are doing your best to eat well and exercise, and you're asking, why me? Why is this happening to me? Or you might even be feeling a little bit hopeless because that happiness that you have been longing for and that you know is your birthright seems to elude you. Well, earlier this year, one of my clients was sharing with me a really miraculous experience where her life completely turned around in every area when she implemented some of the tools that I shared with her. In fact, one example she gave me was that her income doubled when she did just one thing that I had coached her to do. And I'm going to tell you about that a little bit later. But at that moment, I had the thought, I really do know the technology for creating not just happiness, but miracles. Those synchronicities that make your heart skip a beat. The things that happen that are so inexplicable you think, did that really just happen for me? And I'm not just talking about those unexpected moments that make you smile a big smile, but I'm talking about having the technology for staying in what I like to call the miracle zone. And the miracle zone is that place where synchronicities just become commonplace, and miracles are just the order of the day. So I decided at that point to launch a very exclusive mentoring program where I took just 8 women under my wing, and I gave these women the knowledge and the tools that they needed to create miracles in their lives. And we began that program last June, and it has been totally remarkable to me to watch what's been happening for these women in their lives, in their careers, with their health, with their self-image, their relationships, and even their weight. I've even been amazed at the miracles that they've been manifesting for themselves. But after many months of watching what was unfolding for them, I realized that I didn't want to keep these secrets in the hands of just these 8 women that I was mentoring, but I wanted to share them with you. I wanted to share them with as many people as I possibly could, these secrets to creating a miraculous life. Because I know that there is no reason to struggle when the knowledge exists to end the struggle and to live life in that miracle zone. And so what I'm going to be doing tonight is I'm going to be sharing with you some of those secrets. In fact, 3 of them to be exact, so that you can put them to use right away and start seeing the results before you even go to bed tonight, your life can really shift quickly. And this is such a powerful time of year to learn these secrets. You know, the energy is fresh and alive. We have that powerful wind of the new year's at our backs propelling us forward. And this year is actually extra special as it also began with a unique new moon called a supermoon. And it's very auspicious and rare. And it's the perfect energy to support new beginnings and to ground what many people are calling the year of the warrior. So before I begin to share these secrets with you, I'm really excited to introduce to you someone whom I have loved and admired, and I know you will too, and it's my very first mentor. I've known her for many, many years. When I was 22, she became my mentor. She was at the time an ancient 28 years old, and her name is Deborah Poneman. And I've invited her to join me today because she was so instrumental in opening up my eyes over 3 decades ago to the knowledge that's led to my living a truly miraculous life. And Deborah is a world-renowned success expert whose clients not only include other New York Times bestselling authors, but people who have used what she's taught and went on to become millionaires, billionaires, and even some household names. In fact, I was there when Deepak Chopra attended Deborah's seminars at least 2 or 3 times. This was before anybody knew the name Deepak Chopra. So this is why Deborah has come to be called the mentor to the mentors. And Deborah and I always have said that one day we would come together and share our most powerful tools and techniques for manifesting not only happiness and success, but real miracles. And today, that one day has arrived. So, Deb, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here with me.
Well, Mars, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this event. And I'm really thrilled to be here. And I know that over 30,000 people have registered to hear this seminar. And I just want to start out by saying that Marcy and I have both been in this world of personal transformation, as Marcy pointed out, for many, many years. And we know who you are. Most likely, you've also been in this world for quite some time, looking for tools and techniques to create more wealth and more happiness and more consciousness. And we know that you have beautiful hearts and that you're sincere and that you're caring, that you have great ideas to share, that you have lots of love to give, that you want to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. But right now, maybe you're just feeling a bit frustrated or discouraged, or maybe you might even be feeling hopeless. And you might be thinking that there's something wrong with you, or you're not just meant to have the happiness and success that others seem to have, let alone miracles. Or if you come from the same tribe as I do, and I have a sneaking suspicion you probably do, you might even be thinking that it's just not in your chart to be happy this time around or successful. Or maybe you're thinking perhaps you were born with Mercury retrograde. And I know you're laughing right now, but hopefully you're also thinking, I am so ready to have a major shift in my life, and I can feel it in every cell of my body that this is my time. And if that's you, then yay, we applaud you. But the truth is, it doesn't even really matter where you're starting from, because what Marcy and I are going to be sharing with you tonight can help you begin to create that life that deep inside you know you deserve, no matter what. And by the way, we agree with you. You not only deserve a great life, you deserve miracles. So you are right now in the right place at the right time, because miracles are waiting to unfold for you. I mean, they're happening everywhere these days, and I bet you've probably noticed that. And it's just time you open to yours and you let yours in. We live in an abundant universe, and we know that every one of us is meant to share in that abundance. Really, there's just absolutely no legitimate reason for you to live anything less than an inspired life, feeling happy and confident and purposeful and in the flow, and to enjoy radiant health and vibrant energy and have unlimited abundance, doing the work you truly love, and to find those people who you resonate with and who love and support you, and even that one special heart and soulmate, and just to live a life filled with joy, ease, and even miracles. How to do it? That's what we're going to share with you this evening. And some of what you're about to hear, we've only shared with our personal clients in the past. So get your pens and your notebooks out because we are ready to take off.
We are ready to rock and roll here. So, and at the end of today's seminar, we're going to make a special announcement about how all of the women on the call, or if you're a man, then the women in your life, can be with Deborah and me for an entire year, as we are going to be offering for the first time ever a 12-month group mentoring program beginning this Wednesday evening. And Deborah and I want to take you under our wings for a full year and give you the knowledge, the tools, and the ongoing support to ensure that 2014 is filled with miracles for you. You know, 2014 can be that watershed year for you, that year where you start living the life that you were truly born to live. And during this one-year group mentoring program, we're going to be teaching this, and in addition to the teaching from Deborah and from me, we're going to be joined by special guest luminaries and experts like Dr. John Gray and Marianne Williamson and Claire Zammit and Catherine Woodward Thomas and Marielle Hemingway and Dr. Joe Vitale and Janet Atwood and Marcia Weeder, and amazing teachers to ensure that 2014 is the best year of your life. So here's my question for you right now. Why is it so hard for you to create, or for all of us to create, the life that we most deeply yearn for, a miraculous life? Well, let me start out by telling you that Deborah and I know what it is like to struggle. Neither of us, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, neither of us was handed a life filled with love, happiness, and success on a silver platter. We actually developed this knowledge because we also had days where we felt like miracles were not for us. We would look around and we'd see other people creating amazing success and lots of happiness, and we were the ones who were feeling frustrated and disappointed, who didn't feel like we were enough. And we knew that there had to be something that other people were doing that we weren't doing. And when we discovered what that was, we both knew immediately that we needed to share what we now knew with the world. And we have now applied and taught this, and we've discovered that it works for us, and we've discovered that it works for the thousands of other people we've shared it with who've been able to really create miraculous lives. And one crucial thing that we discovered is that for most of us who struggle, it's because of one thing, and that is we just don't know how to put ourselves in the flow of miracles, into what Deborah and I call the miracle zone. We aren't creating the conditions that are going to allow for these miracles to unfold for us effortlessly. Because the reality is that there are certain specific conditions that will invite miracles into our lives. It really is a formula.
And, you know, Mars, I have to say that I remember before I met you, I was really struggling. I was miserable in a job that was completely wrong for me, but I needed to stay in that job to pay the bills, although it was a commission job, and I was so bad at it that I actually wasn't even paying the bills. I was in an unhappy marriage. I had a major health challenge. I longed to be living my passion. And I was living in Santa Monica at the time, and I remember one day going down to the ocean and sitting on a bench and weeping. I was just crying in desperation. And I remember I was saying to God, why should such a good person like me, who's done what I thought had done a lot of good in the world, why was I in this horrible situation where there seemed to be no way out? I wanted an answer. And I remember after I had a really good cry, which I wholeheartedly recommend if needed, I felt a sense of peace come over me and a feeling like it was all going to be okay. And very shortly after that, I was led quite by, quote unquote accident to an evening seminar where I first heard this formula for creating miracles. And this was over 3 decades ago, and I was so blown away by the knowledge that night that I began implementing what I'd learned into my daily life immediately. And from there, everything opened up in ways I couldn't have imagined. And people started asking me what I'd done because I was so clearly living in that zone. And that was when I decided I needed to immerse myself in the study of this body of knowledge and the great masters of success and prosperity and miracles. And I took 4 months and I did nothing else. Yes, I quit my job. Don't ask me how I lived because I don't remember. But for 4 months, I just studied this knowledge of success and creating miracles, and I mapped out the steps to creating a life you love, and I began teaching it in a weekend seminar that soon became an international phenomenon because when others followed these steps, they also began to create the same types of miracles that I'd experienced. Not only was I able to pay the bills, but I manifested a sweet and totally effortless divorce, very loving, a new, more suitable love in my life, the career of my dreams, which was teaching these principles around the world, a beautiful new home, even a Mercedes in the driveway within just a few short years. And, of course, my star student was none other than Marcy Shimoff herself.
Yeah. And Deb, I was the fortunate one, I think, because I got to learn the secrets of success from the amazing Deborah Poneman. And at the time, I had been completely floundering in my life. I was, as I mentioned, I was 22 years old. I was deeply unhappy. I was in graduate school getting an MBA because I thought it was what my parents wanted me to do, but none of what I was studying was interesting or relevant or meaningful to me. I remember I was probably 25 pounds overweight. I didn't feel like I had a purpose or meaning in my life. And when I took Deborah's course, I knew that she had discovered the secrets to success. And so I started working for Deborah. She hired me as her secretary, and I was soon actually promoted to executive vice president. I was the only person in the company. There was only me as the employee. So the promotion didn't mean anything about my job changed. I still answered the phone and put up posters, but I had a much nicer title. And I started learning and applying all these principles, and miracles began happening for me left and right. Over time, I ended up writing books that soared to the top of the New York Times bestseller lists. In fact, my books have been on the bestseller list, New York Times bestseller list, for 121 weeks. They've sold 15 million copies around the world in 33 languages. I've been on national television many times. And honestly, I thought, I have really made it. But maybe I wasn't really Deborah's star student because, as you know, Deb, I still wasn't happy. I think I failed that part of Yes to Success. And, in fact, I remember very clearly one specific day in July in 1998. I was in Chicago, and it was an amazing it was one of the amazing highlights of my career. I had 3 books on the New York Times bestseller list at exactly the same time. And I had just finished giving a speech to 8,000 people. And I had signed 5,432 books. In fact, it took me 3 days to do that, and my client had to hire a massage therapist to massage my hand every half hour so I didn't get carpal tunnel. And it felt like I was an author rock star. It was like the equivalent of that. And I had lots of things working for me in my life at the time, everything that you'd think you'd need to be happy. But I remember after autographing my last book, going up to my hotel room, which was the penthouse suite that my client had gotten for me, and plopping on the bed and bursting into tears. And I burst into tears because I realized that I had everything I thought I needed to be happy, and I still wasn't. And that's when I decided to commit myself to studying the principles of happiness. What is it that causes people to be happy? And applying those in my own life. And the news is good, and that is that they work. I became enormously happier, and I mean, I feel deeply, deeply happy these days. And so this was at that time, Deborah had started her new career, which was being at home and raising her kids. We're actually not sure if she was raising them or if they were raising her. But at that time, that's when I was studying these secrets of how to create true and lasting happiness. And so Deborah and I come here tonight to you to share with you how to have both success and happiness. We know that lots of people have success, but it's at the expense of their happiness. And that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about having both happiness and success, the kind that comes from the soul. And while I do have an extraordinary outer success, I live in a dream home and I have a healthy body and I get to travel the world sharing my life with living legends and amazing people. But I also, and more importantly, have the inner fullness that allows me to be in the miracle zone so that my life feels like an endless miracle. And honestly, I wake up in the morning, every morning, and I go, oh, my God, this is an amazing life. I feel like I have a miraculous life. And that is what Deborah and I both want for you. We know that success isn't accidental. There's a formula for it. And we know that happiness isn't accidental. There's a formula for that. And in the same way, we know that miracles are not accidental. There is a formula for them, a way to set up the right conditions so that miracles happen. And in just a moment, we're going to start by sharing the first of our 3 secrets for you this evening. But first, I just want to explain for a moment what we mean when we talk about miracles here, because there's a whole range of what we're talking about. Now, a miracle for you could be anything from losing the weight that you've never been able to lose, to knowing why you're put here on the planet, being able to do it and create abundance that way, to finding the love of your life, and to having just day-to-day extraordinary synchronicities take place. You know, one of the things that was very fulfilling for me about being an author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books was that I got to read over 20,000 amazing stories that were submitted to us, and many of them were about extraordinary synchronicities and miracles. And I want to share with you one of my favorites right now to give you a sense of miracles, to get us in the miracle zone. It's a story from one of my earlier Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and it was about a man named Marcel Sternberger. It takes place back in 1948. And Marcel lived in New York, and he used to take the same 9:09 a.m. subway to work every morning. But on one particular morning, he took a little detour and went to go visit a friend of his who was sick. And so he ended up on a different subway into work. And it was really crowded, and he noticed that there was only one empty seat, so he went over and took that seat. And as he was sitting down, he noticed that the man sitting next to him was reading a Hungarian newspaper. And Marcel was from Hungary originally, so he started up a conversation with this man in Hungarian. And he found out that this man was named Bela Paskin, and Bela had survived many atrocities during World War II and had ended up in a Russian work camp. And after the war was over, he had to walk hundreds of miles back to his hometown in Hungary, only to find that his entire family, including his beloved wife, had been killed in the concentration camps. And Bela was so devastated that he felt he had to leave Hungary, and ultimately he made his way to New York, where he had just arrived a few months earlier. Well, Marcel was sitting in amazement hearing this story, because just a week earlier Marcel had been at a party with some friends at a friend's home, and he'd met a woman who had had a really similar story, and he'd written down her name and number in his notebook, which he happened to have in his pocket. And Marcel asked Bella what his wife's name was. And Bella said, well, she's been dead for a number of years, but her name was Maria. Marcel took Bella by the hand and said, we have to get off this train at the next stop. They jumped off at the next stop and ran to the closest payphone, where Marcel called up the woman from the phone number in his notebook and said, what was your husband's name? She said, well, my husband, he's dead, but his name was Bella Paskin. Marcel turned to Bella and said, it's a miracle. Take the phone and say hello to your wife. Are you getting chills right now? We call those God bumps. You know, that is an amazing miracle. Now, we know that the miracle that you may be looking for may not be this extreme, you know, being reunited with the love of your life that you thought had passed away years ago on another continent. But my guess is that you want something that you would consider a miracle in your life, you know, whether it's big or small. In fact, my guess is you probably want a few things that you would consider to be miracles. And I can assure you that when you're in the miracle zone, miracles will be the rule in your life and not the exception.
And again, most of us have all of these reasons that we tell ourselves why we can't have those miracles that we want in our lives. We say things to ourselves like, you know, I'm not educated enough or smart enough, or I can't get rid of my bad habits or old patterns or family conditioning, or I don't have enough money or enough time, or I'm too old or I'm too young, or maybe, as I said before, it's just not in the stars. But no matter what your reasons, what Marcy and I have found is that our miracles processes work for everyone who applies them. Everyone who applies these principles, no matter what your life looks like right now, you can turn it around. And I'm just going to give you a few examples from some of our students. I had a student in Texas that began to use our tools and techniques, or what we call our miracles processes, and he said this, quote, I had all these stories about how I was happy just scraping by, and that was really all good. But as soon as I realized that was a story I was telling myself, and I implemented what I learned from you, I made more money in the following month than in the entire year before. Yes, it was miraculous, but it started out with me finally making the decision to do something different and to take some action, and by doing exactly what gave me deep satisfaction and made me happy. I love that one. And a student of Marcy shared, quote, I've always wanted to have a truly fulfilling relationship where I'd be treated in a loving, caring, and respectful way. Using your principles, I, quote unquote, manifested the man of my dreams, and I'm finally receiving the kind of love I'd always longed for. What's amazing is that he came along just as I was about to give up. Or should I say, Marcy, you came along just as I was about to give up and helped me shift to being open to possibilities that I thought I was open to before, but I saw with your guidance how I was keeping that love away. And another one of Marcy's students from Florida said this, my body and I have been at war since I was a teen. Actually, I've never been happy with how I looked or felt. Since using the tools you've given me, I feel entirely different about myself. As a result, I've lost 40 pounds easily and joyfully in just 5 months. I feel like my body is a reflection of my new self. Talk about a miracle! Exclamation point. And finally, one of my favorites from one of my students in Chicago, she says, quote, for as long as I could remember, I've never felt like I was good enough and was especially self-conscious in social situations. I told you about the real fear I had around attending the art gala with people who I believed were, quote, out of my league. Well, I did exactly what you said, and I went to the event, and it turned out to be one of the most glorious nights of my life. And since then, the feeling of confidence and being comfortable in my own skin has not gone away. And as you know, it was the breakthrough I had had with your teaching in the first place on self-love that got me invited to the gala. Anyway, those are so cool. I love when we get that feedback, and we want all of you to share your experiences with us once you begin to implement what we're about to share. So, Marcy, why don't we get going with secret number 1?
Fabulous. Okay, so here are the 3 secrets, starting with secret number 1 that we promised you, and make sure you have your pen and paper out because we do want you to take notes on this if you are in a situation where you're able to. Secret number 1 has to do with how we create intentions. At the beginning of every year, you probably set some goals or resolutions or intentions for the year. And maybe this year you didn't write them down, but at least you think about what it is that you want to create. But the problem is that almost everyone goes about creating those in the wrong way, which is why I think 50% of people who set their intentions have given up by February 1st. That's what the statistics show. And by the end of the year, only 8% of people have realized their goals. So here's secret number 1 you need to be part of that 8% and deliver miraculous life, and that is that you must create your intentions from your soul rather than from your ego. You have to create your intentions from your soul rather than from your ego. You see, miracles exist in the realm of the soul. But unfortunately, most of us are in a very deep and habitual pattern of creating and living from our egos. So you may be wondering right now, well, how the heck do I know the difference? And here's how. When you make choices from the ego, you will have a feeling in your body of contraction, of anxiety, and fear. And what's going to manifest in your life is struggle. When you make choices from the ego, you feel like you're always pushing or forcing or over-efforting. You feel like you need to manipulate and control in order to make things happen and to get the results that you want. When we create from our ego, it's always a struggle because we're living outside of the miracle zone. But when you create from the soul, it's a completely different experience because the realm of the soul is the realm of love, of expansion, of all possibilities, and the realm of miracles. This is where miracles happen. So right now is not the time for you to be thinking how bad you are, not beating yourself up like, oh my God, I've been creating for my ego my whole life, bad me. Almost all of us grew up in families and schools and religious institutions and in a culture where we weren't trained and we weren't taught or encouraged to live from our soul. We watched our parents and the other role models out there living in fear and trying to create from struggle. But it's time for us to break away from that conditioning. And I believe that the reason that you are on this call right now is because something in your soul is telling you that it is time for you to break away from that conditioning. Now, if this seems really abstract, let me bring it down to earth for you. I'm a practical person. I need the really practical stuff, and maybe you do too. So I want you right now to think about something that you want to create in your life. You know, some goal or maybe one of the New Year's resolutions that you set or an intention that you have. And think of a specific area where you feel like you could really use a miracle. Maybe you want to double your income, or you want to lose 20 pounds, or finally meet your soulmate. And now I want you to just think about that, get it in your mind, and take a look at how you just worded your goal or your intention. Because how you just worded that reflects how you really hold it in your heart. And so let's work with one example of this. If your goal or intention was worded like this, you want to lose 15 pounds or 20 pounds or 30 pounds or 40 pounds, doesn't matter the number. That is an ego-based intention. And it's because your ego wants you to look a certain way. Maybe it's because you're afraid of being judged or rejected, or because you want to fit into society's brainwashed definition of beauty, or because you have a hard time loving yourself the way you are. Or maybe you want to show off to your old boyfriend. Or even better, your old boyfriend's new girlfriend. Those are ego-based intentions. Now let's take a look at what your soul's version of that very same intention would be. How would your soul approach it? So your soul wouldn't approach it by, I want to lose 15 or 20 pounds. Your soul's approach would be, I am fit, vital, and healthy in a body that reflects on the outside the radiance that I am on the inside. Now, your words may be different, but you get the idea. You see the difference? Which one of those feels better to you? Which one of those caused your heart to get excited about the potential? I want to lose 20 pounds, or I am fit, vital, and healthy in a body that reflects the radiance that I am. So when you feel inspired, that's a soul intention, and it's about aligning with the truth of who you are. So you get the same, you're going after the same result, but you go after it from a totally different angle, and that changes everything. Because when you have that ego intention, you feel as though you're having to fight for what you want, and it puts you in a struggle or stress mode. And science is actually showing that a different part of our brain is engaged when we're in that stress mode, a whole different physiology that actually makes it much harder for us to accomplish what we're wanting. You know, we all know what it's like to try to get something that feels like an uphill battle, whether it's losing weight or making more money or finding the right relationship or finding your life's purpose. When it's become a stressful struggle, then you're you're not in the miracle zone. And have you noticed that a lot of people are in stressful struggle these days? This is where most people live. But when you're operating from a soul intention, it puts you in the flow of universal energy. And it opens you up to a greater force that allows things to happen with ease. You know the expression, you're in the flow. It's not that you don't take action. You still take action. Remember, I was one of the teachers in The Secret, and action is certainly a big part of manifestation. But we're talking about action that's taken with the power of a soul intention behind it, and then the path is paved with grace, and miracles just begin to reveal themselves one after another. Now, earlier in this call, I mentioned this client of mine who had miracles happen in her life after we were working together, and I just want to share with you the story about one of the aspects of the miracles for her. Her name is Rose, and Rose is a psychotherapist, and she had a goal to make more money. Her goal was actually to increase her income by 25%. And it wasn't happening. Nothing was happening for her. She was feeling stuck. She was kind of not getting anywhere. And so we looked at her goal, and I asked her, why is it that you really want this more money? And she wanted more money so that she could have time to finish her book and launch her speaking career, because that's what her soul was crying for her to do. So we rewrote and redefined her intention to have it be a soul intention. The soul intention that she has the abundance that she needs to have the freedom and the space to create her career as a speaker and an author. And that really inspired her. Well, 2 weeks after rewriting that soul intention and really in her heart shifting where she was coming from, it was no more than 2 weeks, an old colleague of hers came to her, someone that she hadn't seen in a couple of years. And he said, I've just opened up a new clinic, and I would love for you to come work for me. How much would you need? And she worked on an hourly basis. And she'd been doing a lot of work with me about her on a number of other issues as well, and one of them I'll talk about in a few more minutes. And so she was feeling very bold, and she was feeling very, very worthy of sort of staking her claim. And she said, I would like X amount of money an hour. And she said something that was double, the number that was double what she was currently making. And he did not flinch for a second. He said, great, that's fabulous. I can pay you that. And when can you start? 2 weeks later, she started in her new job. She loves it. And she's making twice as much money, so she's only working half the time. She was able to cut her schedule in half, working part-time, and she's now working on building her speaking career, and she's working on her book, and she is loving it. And for her, it was a miracle. I even thought it was a miracle. I mean, it was really quite amazing. So that's what we're talking about. And now there's one thing that you can do right now to get started in this, and that is that you can start noticing when you've been creating from your soul and when you've been creating from your ego. So sometime over the next few days, make a list of 10 things that you want to create. Now, you may have made your list for your New Year's resolution, so you can go back to that list, or if you haven't, make a new list of 10 things that you want to create. And then go through that list and identify which ones are ego intentions and which ones are soul intentions. And look at how you can shift from that ego intention to the soul intention. You know, like the example of instead of losing 20 pounds, to shift to I am living in the vitality and health that I'm intended for. That's the real expression of who I am. Now, in your Year of Miracles program that Deborah and I are doing that starts this Wednesday night, January 8th, we're going to show you the exact steps of how to shift from creating from your ego to how to create from your soul. In fact, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be selecting 3 specific miracle intentions that you want to create in your life this year. And that's what you're going to focus on creating. And we're going to give you those specific tools and steps to make that shift so that you can truly open to the miracles of love and of happiness and of abundance and of right purpose that are really out there waiting for you. So, Deb, why don't you share with everybody the second secret to living a life filled with miracles?
I would love to. I'm still getting over the story that you told about the guy in the subway. I really am. It's my favorite story. Anyway, the second secret is to supercharge the power of your own intention by, listen to this one, making use of the power of the attention of those around you. Okay? So I'm going to begin this point by sharing with you an experience I had just a few short months ago, and it was what most people would call a near-death experience. I didn't go through a dark tunnel or anything like that. It wasn't one of those kinds of things, but I was pretty close to death. So basically, I don't want to give you all the gory details, but I got sick, and I thought I was going to get better doing all the usual things like taking echinacea, golden seal, and vitamin C. But as the week went on, I got sicker and sicker and sicker, and by the end of the week, I thought, maybe I should do something about this. So being the intelligent person I am, I called my favorite healer, and I said, I'm really worried. And he looked in on me energetically, and he said, okay, I'm going to help you, but you have to promise that you do exactly what I say. And I said, okay, I will, I promise. Well, I whispered. I could probably talk. And he said, call 911 immediately, which I did. And when the paramedics arrived, they took my vitals and found out that my blood pressure was 67 over 20-something, and you usually don't live at that point. But they said, what hospital do you want to go to? And I said the name of my hospital of choice, and they commiserated and said, we don't have time to get you there. It was about 10 minutes away, and they didn't have time to get me there. So they took me to a hospital that was just right around the corner, and I remember going into the emergency room, and I knew I was in trouble just by the look on everybody's faces as they were rushing around trying to save my life. And it wasn't death that I was afraid of. That, to me, is just another wonderful adventure in the continuum of life. But I noticed that I was slipping into a place that was probably incompatible with life, and all of a sudden I noticed that when my eyes were open, I could see what was going on in the room. And when my eyes were closed, I could also see what was going on in the room, but I saw it in a different way. I saw it as moving light. And it was one of the most profound experiences of my life because I saw the reality that there is a perfection in creation, that we think that we're the doers, but yet we're guided by this powerful light of creation. And what I saw was that there are no mistakes, that if somebody did something that looked like a mistake, it was only so that the next thing could happen in even greater perfection. And when my eyes were closed, I saw something else that really changed my life, and that is I saw energy coming from people's hearts. I saw the people whose thought was kind of like, well, you know, if she lives or dies, actually, it's not that big a deal, but I want to get off at 5 o'clock. And then I saw the light that was coming from the hearts of the people who really wanted me to live, and that light came from their heart and came onto me, and it strengthened me. But the most amazing thing of this whole experience was when a nurse went over to my husband and put her hand on his shoulder and said to him, "Don't worry, she's going to be fine." And there was no reason for her to say that at that moment. But what I saw was the power of her words. I saw that when she said that, an energy came out of her mouth, and it was pink and it was sparkly. I say it was like one of those rainbows in My Little Pony. And that energy came out of her mouth saying I was going to be fine, and it came onto me, and it strengthened me. It strengthened my physiology. It made me fine. And a few moments later, when the doctor came in and took a look at my blood pressure, he was a little bit, you would say, a little bit flipped out, and in a very gruff voice, he said, "Get that blood pressure up or we are going to lose her." Whew. And when I could feel it right now, when he said that, I felt that energy of his words come onto my physiology and take my strength away. And I remember lying there, literally hanging to life by a thread. And I remember thinking that if everybody in the room would just focus their attention on me with the thought she's going to be fine, I could probably get up, walk out, and head off to the gym. And the truth is that although I had that experience with the nurse's words, our thoughts, our intentions are even more powerful than our words, just as the atom is more powerful than the cell. And that's been proven in scientific laboratories around the world. And if you saw the movie What the Bleep, you saw the evidence of the power of our thoughts to act.
Oh, I think we lost her. She's going to finish. She's going to get on in 30 seconds. That happened one other time that the call dropped. Right around this time, and we can't figure it out. It's the weirdest thing because it's right at this point when she's telling the story that her phone seems to drop out, and the phone company came and said there was absolutely nothing wrong with her phone line, and it was impossible that had happened. Deb?
I'm so sorry that happened again.
I was just saying how that happened again. It must be at this exact same time when you're telling this story that energetically. I was just saying that Comcast came out and said your phone was fine. Anyway, go ahead.
And it's really amazing because being an interviewer, I do 1 hour, 2 hour interviews every single day, and it's never happened except during this story.
It's so weird.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. Okay.
So part of the miracle what we're talking about. Okay. So basically what I was saying is that if you want to create miracles, you can do that by not only using the power of your own intention, but you could supercharge your intentions by making use of the power of the intention of those around you. I mean, think about it. Maybe the reason you aren't living your miraculous life is because there are too many people around you whose thoughts aren't supporting your success and happiness. And I mean, I firmly believe that everyone is truly doing the best they can given their own life circumstances. But ask yourself, are there people in your life who might be creating a field of resistance that might be holding you back? People who for some reason or another might not want you to be successful, maybe consciously or unconsciously. One of the principles I always taught in my Yes to Success seminar is that when you have an idea that lights you up, be really careful with whom you share it, because very often we tell our ideas to somebody who we think is going to be supportive, but it turns out that they're a member of what I call the discouragement committee. Those people who will immediately tell you all the reasons why your idea will never work, and they just blow out your candle, often never to be lit again. And that's on the obvious third-dimensional reality. But think about their thoughts. What's happening energetically? What about those people who, again, most likely unconsciously, but nonetheless wrongly think that perhaps your success is in some way taking away from their success? What intention might they be sending in your direction? And now think about this. Wouldn't it be great to have people around you whose sole intention, and I mean soul and soul, S-O-L-E and S-O-U-L, was not only to support you and cheer you on, but to spend part of every day visualizing you in possession of your miracles? Doesn't that excite you? It definitely excites me. And in our program for 2014, you will each have a miracle group. It's kind of like a mastermind group, but one of the main purposes of this group is that each member will spend a few moments, just a few moments each day, because that's all it takes, intentioning for each other member of the group that they will achieve their goals, that they will have their miracles. And there's a specific way of using the power of the group to supercharge your intention, and it's been brought to the world by a fabulous woman living in England named Lynn McTaggart. A few years ago, Lynn began a global movement called the Intention Experiment, and the Intention Experiment was and still is a series of scientifically controlled experiments testing the power of intention to actually change the physical world. And this has all been verified by researchers, including physicists and psychologists at Princeton, at Cambridge, at the Institute of Biophysics. And in one of her pilot experiments, Lynn had a group of people based in London direct their thoughts to targets in a laboratory in Germany, okay? So here are these people in London directing their thoughts to one person, a human volunteer, one plant, and two types of algae. So these people in London were asked to attempt to lower certain measurable biological processes in those four targets, and the result was that the doctors in the German lab found significant changes in all four targets. That means that the people in London, through their intentions, created physical changes in the algae, the plant, and even the human volunteer in Germany. And now Lynn's gone on to experiment with groups of people, putting their attention on each other's success and happiness and physical and emotional healing. And she organizes what she calls the groups of 8, where 8 people put their attention on one member of the group at a time. And the miracles that these group intentions are creating for individuals are far beyond what they could generate themselves, including healings and loved ones being reunited and monetary windfalls and, houses selling overnight that had been on the market for years and lost pets showing up. You name it, it's happened. And again, this is a part of what we're going to be doing in our program for 2014. What we're going to do is give you your own tribe of people who will intention your greatness and your miracles happening, and who will be energetically counteracting any negativity that might be coming your way. So I'm very excited about that, but one other thing I want to tell you, when you're done with this call, you might want to take an inventory of the people in your life, and you might want to break free from the worst offenders, but if you're not in the position...
Oh, there she goes again. Okay, I'm going to finish your point this time. So basically she was saying, you could break away from the people who are the worst offenders, but if you're not in a position to completely free yourself from those people who may not even subconsciously be not desiring for you to soar, don't worry, because you will be surrounded by a whole new energy. Lynn McTaggart, in fact, the founder of this intention experiment, is going to be with us on a special bonus class this month and lead us personally through the specific steps for creating your most powerful miracle intention groups so that you can most effectively implement this second secret, this secret to supercharge the power of your own intention by making use of the power of the attentions of those around you. And so that's the second secret. And let me move on to the third secret. Deb, are you back?
I'm here,
okay.
And I was listening to you. You did a better job than I could have.
Yeah. Thank you, because you were intentioning my greatness.
I always do.
So we've talked about the first secret is that you have to create from your soul rather than from your ego. The second secret is to supercharge the power of your own intentions by using the people around you. And here's the third secret, and I actually think this is, for me at least, it seems to be the most important of all. And that is that you must own your inherent worthiness in order for you to be open to be able to receive miracles. Now, this one is a tough one for a lot of people. But why is it so important? Well, you see, when you don't feel worthy of receiving miracles, when you don't feel good enough or you don't love yourself enough, the miracles just can't show up because you're literally pushing them away energetically. So let's do a little experiment and see if any of these apply to you. These are symptoms of you pushing away your good. So one of them is, do you ever feel uncomfortable when someone pays you a compliment and you immediately deflect it or minimize it? Do you have a hard time accepting gifts? Or do you get a little nervous when someone tries to give you something? Do you ever feel guilty when people try to help you out or support you and you feel like you have to give back to them twice as much as they're giving to you? Do you feel bad or undeserving if things come to you easily and you feel like you should have had to work hard or struggled for more good to appear? Or when some good fortune shows up, are there friends with whom you downplay it because you're afraid that it might make them feel bad that it didn't happen to them? Now, all of these may seem small, but they are ways in which that you are energetically blocking your miracles from coming. And I have to say that most people, and especially women, struggle with their feelings of unworthiness, and that's what's blocking the miracles. We don't love ourselves unconditionally. And when we don't, we can't feel worthy of our intentions because we don't have unconditional self-love. Now, I want to distinguish something because lots of people these days talk about self-esteem. But what I'm talking about here is self-love, and there is an important difference. Self-esteem is that I like myself because I'm smart or because I look a certain way or because I'm, take good care of other people. And these are all very conditional. These are of the ego. And it's the energy that causes us to try to be perfect so that we feel okay about ourselves. And it actually burns us out. It's damaging. Self-love, on the other hand, is an unconditional feeling of loving yourself no matter what. It doesn't depend on you being perfect. You don't have to do things perfectly. You don't have to look a certain way. It's about an unconditional love and acceptance of your deeper self, no matter what. Instead of self-worth, I like to call this soul worth. Now, there's nothing wrong with having great self-esteem. I'm all for having great self-esteem, but it's really self-love that you need. Because when you don't have this self-love, you block receiving because you don't feel worthy. I'm sure you've probably heard it said before that no one can love you more than you love yourself. That people will only give you what you're willing to give yourself. Well, the same is true with the universe. The universe will only give you what you feel that you're worthy of. And most of us feel like we're never enough. We have this empty void inside that we feel, that we try to fill and fill and fill, but it feels like a bottomless pit. And until we begin to remove some of these core beliefs about ourselves and develop greater self-love, then our miracles can't show up. We need to shift our consciousness to a higher level where we can actually accept the miracles that are coming our way. And let me share with you a little example from my own life. In 1997, I was taking a workshop with another one of my mentors, along with Deborah, and who's now also a very dear friend of mine, Marianne Williamson. And I know many of you, most of you probably are familiar with Marianne, and I remember Marianne saying to all of us in this workshop, that if you make a lot of money but you don't shift your consciousness to be able to receive it and feel worthy of that level of money, then you're invariably going to lose it. And I remember thinking, no way, that would never happen to me. Sure enough, a few years later, I had made a lot of money, and I had reached a level beyond what I felt worthy of. And I proceeded to lose that money. Now, fortunately, I didn't lose it all. I caught myself in enough time. I remembered what Marianne had said, and I really began working on this deeper soul worthiness. And I was able to turn it around, and I continued to make a lot of money, but this time keep it or allow it to circulate in my life in a way that I intentionally wanted rather than losing it. So this issue of our worthiness is so key and critical, and I'm going to recommend for you right now 2 things that you can do for building this aspect of self-love. And the first thing to do is that we need to be loving and caring for ourselves. And this is something that, again, we are not trained to do, and especially women. So I'm going to give you a little practice. If you've got a pen and paper, I want you to write this down. Twice a day, I want you to stop and ask yourself the question, what's the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? In fact, you might want to write that on a couple of Post-its and put it around in various places of your office or your home. And it may be something simple like I can right now stop and have a little glass of water, or I can walk outside and get some fresh air. Or it may be I can call up a friend and get some support. Or maybe I can just stop talking to myself so harshly and start being a little more kind and loving to myself in my thoughts. So I just want you to ask the question, what's the most loving thing I can do for myself, and then listen to the answer and do it. And in these small ways, you are taking steps to love yourself more by treating yourself in a loving way. And again, this is not hard to do, and this does not take much time, but it's a matter of retraining yourself for greater self-love. And then the second thing that you can do is you can look at how open you are to receiving small things or how you push them away, even today, for example. So look at how did you push away any love or kindness or compliments or offers for help. And when you notice that you're pushing it away, ask yourself, how can I expand my ability to receive right now? You know, you can kind of make it into a game, the how did I push something away today game. You know, the first step to increasing our worthiness is awareness. And when we become aware of how we're pushing away our good, then we're able to change our behaviors. And with that change in behavior then comes the ability to open to miracles. And I will say that where this pattern of lack of self-love and unworthiness shows up a lot, especially with women, is in the area of relationships. So many women are consistently in relationships where they're giving much more than what they're getting, and they end up feeling resentful and unfulfilled and not cared for. One woman I worked with, a client of mine named Vicki, had a lifelong pattern of being in emotionally abusive relationships. She was always with these men who were takers, and she would give and give, but they wouldn't give to her in return. They were emotionally withholding. And she told me the example of her first husband, who she felt really took her for granted. He was always judging her and criticizing her, and finally she realized, I don't deserve this. This isn't okay. And they got divorced, and she basically gave up on the idea of being in a fulfilling relationship. But as we worked together and we did these specific practices to raise her self-love, then in walked John, the man of her dreams. And she was able to open to receive to him in the amazing ways that he wanted to give to her, in ways that she had never had a man give to her before. And he listens to her, and he supports her dreams. He totally honors and cherishes her, and he sees all the work that she puts into taking care of her children, and he wants to be part of that and support that. And Vicki realized that in the past she had unconsciously drawn in men who hadn't been able to give to her because she hadn't been able to receive. They were just mirroring back to her own lack of self-worth. And when she shifted that and she was able to experience her own self-love, she's now able to open up to the good that's coming her way. Vicki says that the real miracle is not only that did John come into her life, but she's actually able to open up and receive what he's giving to her. And that's the power of self-love and of recognizing our own worthiness. And in your Year of Miracles program, we're going to go into this much, much more deeply and show you very specific ways to raise your level of self-love and your worthiness quotient so that all the miracles that you deserve begin appearing in your life. So as Deborah and I have mentioned, we have created this year-long program that begins this Wednesday so that we can take you by the hand and be with you every step of the way as you create your Year of Miracles. We want you to look back on 2014 and say that it was the year where everything for you changed, where you went from struggle to success, from heartache to happiness. We absolutely know in our hearts that 2014 can be the best year of your life so far. And we're excited for you to experience miracles like the ones that have showed up in our lives and like some of the ones we shared with you, or even greater. The sky's the limit. And we are 100% committed to supporting you so that what you most deeply want happen for you happens. And we are going to pull out all the stops for that. You know, one of the things that we've found over the decades that we've been teaching is that real and lasting transformation doesn't happen in a weekend. You know, when you go away to a weekend seminar, it feels great, like the high that you're experiencing is never going to go away. And then you go back home and life shows up. And somewhere around Tuesday or Wednesday, you're pretty much back to where you started from, and all the things that you committed to doing just aren't happening. You know, this is why, as we said, at the end of January, usually over 50% of people who set their goals have given up on them, and by the end of the year, 92% of people have lost their way and lost their vision. And it doesn't have to be this way. We want you to be one of the 8% who realize your dreams and really have a miraculous year. And we've seen how sustaining and real change can be difficult for people who try to do it on their own without some kind of structured, ongoing program and support, which is why we've created your Year of Miracles program to last the entire year. You aren't going to feel isolated at any point during the year, but you're going to have instead a place to ask your questions when you feel stuck and a community to support you and cheer you on and to celebrate your miracles with you. We're going to be there with you through the thick and thin and give you just the right fertilizer for your miracles to grow just at the right time.
And also each month we're going to focus on a different area of life and provide tools and techniques and knowledge for you to start living miracles in that particular area. So for example, January is all about creating your vision. And of course we'll harness that magical energy of this fresh new year by giving you the most effective tools and techniques we have for you to uncover your true soul intentions, and together we'll help you make your game plan for the miracles that will unfold for you in 2014. And so that every single one of you can be a part of that 8%, the 8% who statistically achieve the goals and dreams by the end of the year that they've set at the beginning. And as Marcy mentioned, we've also invited guest experts each month, and these are some of the most renowned luminaries and respected teachers in their fields. And in January, we have the honor of hosting Marcia Wieder, who is the founder and CEO of Dream University and is also known as America's Dream Coach. If you've ever heard Marcia speak or you've seen her on Oprah, you know there is no one anywhere who can help you create your dreams and turn them into realities like Marcia does. So by the end of the first month, you'll not only be clear about what miracles you're going to create during 2014, but you'll even have a powerful vision for your life. And each month, we're also going to have group sessions with some of the most effective world-class energy healers and light workers who will be using their expertise to clear energetic blocks. And for some people, this is the most exciting part because you can just sit back and let these amazing, they're really masters of energy, help you dissolve your resistance and get rid of whatever's blocking you energetically from the health and the wealth and the happiness and the miracles that you deserve.
And Deb, you and I have scoured the planet for the best healers over the years and the best light workers, and we're really going to bring you these people who are, as Deborah said, masters. So let me just go through the rest of the things that we're going to be doing with you for the months during the year. February is about self-love. You know, self-love that we've been talking about. If self-love has been something that's eluded you up until now, it is time to put that in the past. And we're going to give you the knowledge and the techniques and the practices and the inspiration and the teachings from our own work to help you in the area of self-love. And also we're going to bring to you Catherine Woodward Thomas, who is a master in this area, to help you move beyond self-doubt to self-love. So the things that we're sharing in the self-love month many things have shifted for people dramatically in their lives just from applying these, where people have gone from feeling depressed or unhappy or just not worthy to feeling really deeply good enough and to a deep, profound experience of loving who they are and knowing who they are. And then March is going to be about letting go and creating space. We're going to clear the physical and energetic clutter that can be preventing you from having miracles come into your life in some very cool and specific ways. April is about living your passions. You're going to get to focus on what your passions are and actually how you can live them in a day-to-day way. And we're bringing the guest expert that month is Janet Atwood, who is the amazing creator of the Passion Test and really an absolute master of living your passions. In May, we're focusing on your health and how to experience vibrant energy and radiant health. And Marielle Hemingway will be with us that month. She's the actress and granddaughter of Ernest Hemingway, and she is amazing in the area of health. In June, we're looking at developing your brain power, and not your brain power to become smarter, but your brain, the latest neuroscience about how you can become happier, deeply happier, the neuroscience of happiness and enlightenment. July, you will be focusing on mastering emotional freedom. Freedom from anger and sadness and resentment and jealousy and guilt and hurt and all those energies that hold us back. August is focused on living true spirituality, and we will have none other than Marianne Williamson, who is such a great luminary in this area. And then in September, we're focusing on creating financial abundance, which I know is something that a lot of people are excited about that particular month. October is about creating lasting and fulfilling and loving relationships. And John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, will be speaking with us that month. This is also, of course, along with a session that you'll be doing with the energy healer and a separate session that you'll be doing with Deborah and with me that month, each of these months. And in November, it's about focusing on the power of gratitude and really letting it all in the deepest way, gratitude and receiving. And then December is about celebrating your miraculous year and giving back to the world. How through the miracles you've created, how you can really give to your community and the world. And as we said, what we see and know is possible is that at the end of December, you will look back and say that this is the year that changed my life. It happened. What I had set forth, those 3 miracle intentions in January, they happened, and that's what we're going to celebrate in December.
Fantastic. So why don't we all go to the program page now, and you can take a look at what else we have there for you. If you're on your webinar page, you could just click on that rainbow link at the bottom where it says Your Year of Miracles. Or if you're not looking at the webinar page right now, just go to www.youryearofmiracles.com. And if you're not in front of any kind of computer, don't worry about it. We're going to give you all the information. You could just listen as we go through it. So what I'd like you to do is scroll down a little bit further than halfway. I know you probably want to stop and watch the video of Marcy, but you could watch that later. And it's really good. If you want to scroll down, you'll see a clock that says now, 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 now. Keep on going after that. And you'll see a little bit further than halfway a headline that says, and why only women? And I just want to address that for a moment. And it's basically as it says there. Women face a unique set of challenges, and we're aware of that. And Marcy and I have probably experienced about every challenge there is, and we know how to guide you through them, and we are committed to doing that. But men, if you understand that some of our content will be specifically directed towards women, especially during the relationships month and the health months, you are absolutely welcome to join us. If you'd like to, we will welcome you with open arms. And, of course, you could also tell the women in your life about this great program. So, also, if you scroll a little bit further down, here's how we'll help you create your miraculous year. I just want to tell you a little bit about what the year is going to consist of. Marcy already mentioned that there are going to be 12 master mentoring group calls with Marcy and myself, and these calls will take place at the beginning of each month, and this is where we'll give you the knowledge you need to begin to manifest miracles in that particular area of your life. And then there are also going to be the second week, the 12 expert guest calls. And we do have a lineup of guest mentors that will totally blow you away. Marcy already mentioned Dr. John Gray. Also, another star of The Secret, Dr. Joe Vitale will be with us, founder of Feminine Power, Claire Zamet. Of course, Catherine Woodward Thomas for Month 2, and Muriel Hemingway, and Janet Atwood, and Marianne Williamson, so many more. And I want you to know that they will not be selling anything on these calls. They will only be giving you their best and latest knowledge tailored to our group, okay? Women like you, so that we can make profound shifts in our lives. And then, of course, as we said, 12 light workers and energy healers. And again, Marcy and I have contacted and invited the 12 most powerful energy healers we know who do what we feel are the most effective long-distance group work. And we are just beyond ecstatic. They all said yes to us. So, again, each month, a powerful energy worker to clear those blocks and negative energies that might be holding you back. And, by the way, all of these sessions, the sessions with Marcy and myself, the expert calls, and the session with the Lightworker energy healers will all be recorded. So if you miss something, it will be available in the archives for the entire year. And the energy healers have absolutely assured us that even if you listen to the recording, the effect is going to be equally as powerful, they say, because there is no time and space. So, and then there are also going to be 24 miracle support group calls, and these groups are all about what we shared in secret number 2. You will have time to go to share your successes and get input and support, but we were going to be giving you specific instructions how to supercharge all of your intentions by harnessing the power of the group. So I'm very excited about that. And then there will be 52 Monday Miracle Messages, and these messages will arrive, obviously, on Monday morning, and they'll not only be inspiring, but will give you more knowledge and keep you focused on the topic of the month. And as I'm sure you know, you will get the exact right message at the exact right time. There are also going to be 4 coaching calls with me. Marcy mentioned that thousands of people around the world for the past 30 years have attended my Yes to Success seminars and said that the knowledge in the seminar turned their life around. So I'll be giving to you exactly what I know has made the biggest difference in these people's lives. So, and this will not only be what's in the Yes to Success seminar, but also my newest knowledge on how to create true and lasting success. There's also going to be an online community. Our staff's been working around the clock to get this community site ready for you as a place to connect, share your successes, exchange ideas, ask us questions, and just keep you on track and inspire to reach your dreams. Now, I want to say that in the past, clients have paid thousands of dollars to work with Marcy and with me. Actually, the truth is that clients have paid tens of thousands to work with Marcy, and I could tell you that I know many of those clients, and they say it was worth it and more. We know that the benefit of this program and the results you'll experience are going to be invaluable, because really it's nothing less than for you to have miracles in your life and for your dreams to come true. And we've actually sat down and broken down the cost of the program, and with all of the healers and the guest experts and everything else you'll be receiving, it is in the thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. But since we want as many people as possible to have miracles in their lives, you won't have to be investing that, because thanks to the beauty of technology and also our desire to bring miracles into as many people's lives as possible in 2014, the cost for this entire one-year mentoring program was originally set at $1,297, which is just around $100 a month. But as you could see on the page, we decided that you don't even need to invest that. We've reduced the price to less than half of that, or only $597, which comes to less than $50 a month. And because we know that after the holidays, sometimes money can be a little tight, we've even created a plan for 4 easy payments for those who register right away. And finally, for everyone who decides to join us by midnight tonight, Monday, midnight Pacific time, we'll be giving you, at absolutely no cost, my entire Yes to Success seminar in a downloadable format. And yes, this is the same seminar that Marcy and thousands of others say was the beginning of their journey to a successful life. And you'll also be receiving 4 powerful interviews from Marcy's Happiness series. And she has interviewed some of the greatest, and we picked out our favorites. One is with Dr. Rick Hansen, who is talking about hardwiring your brain for happiness. Another is management expert and founder of the Millionaire Business Bootcamp, Raymond Aaron, and he talks about an overlooked tool for happiness. And then personal change expert and author of The Power of Patience, MJ Ryan, is going to be talking about the grateful way to happiness. And we added another bonus, my favorite interview, and it's on happiness and courage with the phenomenal Dr. Robert, the Swiss Diener. So all of that, if you do choose to register by midnight tonight.
Yeah, that's going to give you quite a jump start for living in the miracle zone in 2014. And Deb, should we tell them about the guarantee?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Why don't you go ahead and do the honors?
Okay, all right. Well, we know that this program is going to have a dramatic effect on your success and happiness, not just for this year, but also for the rest of your life. But we aren't going to be happy unless you're totally happy. So we invite you to join us. And if by the end of this first month, by the end of January, you don't think that the program was worth your investment, simply let us know and we will give you a complete refund. And your Yes to Success and all your happiness interview bonuses and all the gifts that you've already received are yours to keep. You know, as Deborah said, we've taught some of what we're going to share with you to our private coaching clients who have paid up to $38,000 a year to work with me one-on-one. But because we wanted to give this to the greatest number of people in a format that was accessible to everyone, we created a price structure so the program for the entire year is less than the cost of one private coaching session with either one of us. And I deeply believe that it is not an accident that you are here listening to this right now. You are here for a reason. Your soul called you here. There was something that resonated. Your soul resonated with this message, and that's why you're here. It is your time. So go ahead and click on the Add to Cart button. You can choose the one-time payment of $5.97 or the 4-payment plan, and it's going to take you to our secure shopping cart. And, you know, this is less than $50 a month, and many people have paid up to 10 times that to learn from just one of our guest experts alone or a session with our guest energy worker. So before we say goodbye tonight, I just want to say again that we know who you are. We know what your struggles are. And we also know that 2014 can be your best year ever, the year where you establish yourself in the miracle zone. For beyond a miraculous year, for a miraculous life. So give yourself the gift of having the structure and the support to do just that. Time is moving on. It's moving on with or without us. And we don't want you to wait. We don't want you to keep on waiting until someday. You know, the promise of this Year of Miracles program is that you're going to get all the tools and the support you need in having your 3 major miracles come true in 2014. And that you'll have everything you need to live the rest of your life in the miracle zone.
So I just want to add to, please join us. We've created this program with so much love and with so much care, and we really can't wait to watch the miracles as they unfold in your life.
Yeah. So thanks so much for taking the time to join us. You know, as we said, it wasn't by accident that you were here. Your soul called you to be here. And we would be so happy and so honored to be partners with you in creating your miracles in 2014. And we look forward to being able to get started with you this Wednesday night. We believe in your miraculous year. Good night.